Chum Rip Sua.
Chum Rip Sua.
Thank you, Dr. Lambrick, for coming to VOA.
You're welcome.
Dr. Lambrick is the director of the film called I Am CHUT WUTTY, and which is going to showing in Meta House. But unfortunately, it was banned by the Ministry of Culture and Fine Art. So, first of all, I would like, would you mind telling us what is it about in your documentary film about CHUT WUTTY, I Am CHUT WUTTY?
So the film is about forest activists, people who defend the forest in Cambodia, and it especially follows the work and the life of Norak Satya, who I met, who I knew a little. I filmed with him in 2011. And we met when I was going to film at, with the Prey Long Network, who had a patrol. They wanted to investigate illegal logging in a particular site where the forest was being cut down in huge areas for a rubber plantation. And this was destroying local people's livelihoods, so they were taking action. And so I met CHUT WUTTY in the morning that day. There were about 500 people ready to go to the patrol, and we met. He jumped up, he was very energetic and immediately kind of engaging, very charismatic person. And he sort of asked me all these questions, like, where are you from? What are you doing? I told him about the film. And later that day at the protest, I was sitting next to WUTTY, and he was attacked because one of the soldiers who was there came around behind us and grabbed him and threw him to the ground, and he was at gunpoint, and he was rescued by the Prey Long Network. And so that was how the film sort of started. And at that time, when I was filming, I was expecting just to make a short film. I was doing PhD research in Prey Long. I was doing research on community forestry. And then, of course, 5 months later, CHUT WUTTY was killed at an illegal logging site in the Cardamom Mountains.
Talking about the film, so about I Am CHUT WUTTY, so far I know that it was banned from showing in Meta House this week. So what is the important thing about the film, do you think?
So I think that the film is important because it has a very inspiring person at the heart of the story. So CHUT WUTTY was a very courageous man, and he was very inspiring to a lot of people. There were hundreds and thousands of people around Cambodia who knew about him and who followed him and wanted him to help them, especially where they had problems of land grabbing or deforestation in their community. And so I think that this film inspires a lot of people because CHUT WUTTY was such a hero and because he was killed so brutally. And so I think that, but I don't understand why the ban has happened now, because I don't think it's a politically sensitive film. I think that, CHUT WUTTY was killed 4 years ago. It's not recent, and everything that is in the film is publicly known already. And so the film does not point fingers at anyone, it does not point blame, but it shows very clearly the oppression of people who stand up to fight for their rights, especially around the environment.
Yeah, because I think Chut Wuttty was one of the environmental activists that have and lead the government to think about putting Prey Long into protected forests. And recently, Prime Minister Hun Sen have announced that the government will plan to put that as a protected forest. And this week, U.S. Ambassador Bill Hayes went to Prey Long on the air tour, visiting Prey Long. So, do you think to what extent this, Chut Wuttty as well as your documentary film can have or raise awareness of the Prey Long?
Yeah, I hope it will raise awareness of Prey Long, and I hope that it shows really how the protection of Prey Long has really been spearheaded by the communities who live there. So Wuttty was working very closely with them and advising them, but he was not the leader of the group, and in fact there is no leader. They cooperate across 4 provinces, and this is a grassroots community network, the Prey Long Network. And they were recently awarded the UN Equator Prize at the Paris COP in December. And so they have done incredibly important work in protecting that forest. And Chut Wuttty was one of the people who helped to start this network and helped to build it. And so I think that, I think that it's very important that this film tells the story of the forest. And we always wanted, when we were making the film, that the forest would almost be like a character in the film, that you grow to love the forest through these kind of beautiful close-up images, and you care about it. And so it's the fight for the life of Chut Wuttty, but it's also the fight for the life of the forest.
Yeah. So I talked to a spokesman at the Ministry of Culture and Fine Art about the documentary film. He said 2 things, that the ministry banned the film. First, because the film didn't ask permission or license from the Ministry of Fine Art before shooting, and then after shooting, what the spokesman said, the directors, you have to submit it to the ministry before they can put on the screen. So how do you respond to his comment about that?
Yeah, well, I just would like to explain that, first of all, when we started filming, we did not think that we were making a documentary, like a full-length documentary for public broadcast. We expected to make a short film and to put it on YouTube, as many people do, freely across the country. So yes, we didn't have that permission initially, but I think that I think they should waive this and give the film a license to be shown, because I think that the film is very important for a lot of Cambodian people, and I think that this is the importance of the role of the Department of Culture, is not to suppress the stories of Cambodian heroes, but to elevate them and to share them with the world.
Yeah, talking about the waiving of the license and also the experience with the license of filming, have you, based on your experience and based on your knowledge, is there any such bans in other countries like that?
I think that mostly films are banned in repressive regimes. There is a list globally that you can find on Wikipedia of banned films, and it includes a lot of very good films. There's some very funny films and some that it's very surprising that they would be banned. But a lot of bans happened under Nazi Germany. A lot of bans happened, in countries that are sensitive to religious issues, or where culturally, for example, there is something that is sexually explicit or something that is inappropriate to be shown according to the culture of that country. And I think that our film is not any of those things. It's a positive story that shows people standing up to defend their environment. So I think in my opinion, the government of Cambodia should welcome this story and should be proud of it. because this is the story of people who work to defend Cambodia's national heritage.
I have seen the documentary film and on Vimeo's on the online, and yeah, I'm very fortunate to see that, and it was really good. And I haven't seen such a good film that the heroes stand and then the people, environmentalists, environmental activists stand and help protecting their forest, their home. So have you ever seen like such activity in your country or other?
In other countries, yes. So I have seen. I mean, I see this. We have, there are environmental activist movements, I think, everywhere, which is something that is so wonderful and so inspiring. But I think that those stories don't get told very much. And often environmental activists or people who defend the environment against, powerful vested interests, they're often even seen as like close to criminals, which is so wrong because these people are the ones who really save our whole planet. Like they're the most important people in the world right now, with climate change and everything that we're facing. So, but yeah, there are other incredible stories. Like for example, in Brazil, a friend of mine made a film about two forest activists who were defending a reserve in the state of Pará in Brazil, and he filmed with them as well. Like he knew them, and subsequently they were killed, and so he continued to make the film about them. When it's also a very inspiring story, and so. Yeah, and also I think this film was able to make a difference in terms of that the government took action to stop the deforestation following the release of this film, and they also, there has not been the same level of impunity that there are in most cases where people are killed, where environmental defenders are killed, in the case of these two who were shown in the film.
Yeah, the frontline activists have to face a lot of things, and sometimes they have to risk their life, and including journalists, they risk their life for environmental report. Do you think this your film will encourage more environmental activists in Cambodia, or raise the awareness of the activity to stop deforestation in Cambodia?
I hope so, yes. I think so, because I think it did already. Like a lot of people who saw it told me that they found it inspiring. I think some people, for some people this story is, maybe they find it tragic and also a little bit scary, because the threats that Chut Wuttty faced were so severe, and the attacks and the violence, and me too, having been close to this story, I find it, it's also something that makes you feel afraid, but it is also so inspiring that I think people move through that fear, and so I think people respond differently, but I think that a lot of people will respond to become more valiant, more active.
So related to Prey Long, as we know, the government is putting it as the protected forest right now. Do you think because of Prey Long network, or because of Chut Wuttty, or because of other activists?
I think it's a joint, effort that has been that has led to this, and I think that in terms of, I think it is wonderful that it is now a protected forest, but I think in terms of the implementation of that law and challenging the deforestation in Prey Long, patrolling, keeping the forest alive, I think that work, is hugely due to the work of the Prey Long Network and Chut Wuttty and some other actors, some other NGOs, and but I think that in order for that law to be enforced, for the forest to really be protected, now that it is officially a protected forest, I think that the government must work very closely with the local communities there.
So my last question about your documentary film, what called I AM CHUT WUTTY. So what is your future plan with the documentary film?
So with the film, we're now building a campaign to support environmental defenders. So these are people like activists, as you said, journalists, local communities, people who stand up to defend the environment and who face risks because they do so. So the campaign is called Not One More because it is inspired by Chut WUTTY, who was murdered for taking action. And the aim is to form a network and to inspire people to become more active and also to support those who are at the front line, people who are facing threats, who face criminalization, to build a network to support them. And also we aim to do some more practical things sort of behind the scenes, so connecting people to support. So for example, one of the founding advisors of the campaign is Mr. Oop Lang, who was recently awarded the very high-profile Goldman Environmental Prize in San Francisco, and he is an incredible campaigner and also a very inspiring person, and who has faced a lot of security risks. So we're working with him to help with his security, and he is also, part of this campaign and one of the voices who are calling out for better support and protection for environmentalists.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Lambrick, for your time and inspiring documentary film, and your much appreciated for your time.
Thank you.